Oh, look who disappeared. Look who went ghost. Look who stepped back, stepped out, stepped away, and never looked back. You beautiful, dangerous, liberated soul, look closely at what just happened. The person who once stayed, who once explained, who once tried to fix everything, quietly stepped away. No dramatic farewell. No emotional speech, no attempt to force anyone to understand. Just silence, just distance, just a calm, deliberate decision to leave and never return to the same place again. And strangely enough, that quiet disappearance became louder than anything words could have ever expressed. The moment you walked away without looking back, something shifted. What once felt like control for them suddenly turned into confusion. What once felt like power in their hands suddenly became a lingering fear they couldn't escape. Your absence didn't simply create space. It created a haunting reminder of what they lost. The truth is, your departure was never meant to be a performance. It wasn't a strategy designed to gain attention, and it certainly wasn't a temporary emotional reaction from clarity. A moment where you finally understood something that had been hidden beneath years of doubt and manipulation. You didn't actually need them. Those few words carry a weight that can shatter illusions. For a long time, they believed the opposite. In their mind, they were the center of everything. They assumed you revolved around them, that your happiness depended on their approval, that your presence in their life was permanent, no matter how they behaved. They believed they were irreplaceable, and that you were too attached to ever truly leave. But the moment you vanished without drama, without pleading, without explanation, that illusion began to collapse. Belinda. People who rely on control often misunderstand what real loss feels like. When they see someone crying, begging, or fighting to keep the connection alive, they rarely feel fear. In fact, those moments often make them feel powerful. Desperation feeds their sense of importance. It reassures them that they still hold influence over the other person's emotions. But silence is different. Silence cannot be controlled. Silence cannot be negotiated with. And when someone who once cared deeply suddenly becomes distant and emotionally unavailable, it forces a realization that can be deeply unsettling. Your quiet indifference said something louder than anger ever could. They no longer had the importance in your life they once assumed. Now they are left sitting with thoughts they can't easily escape. Curiosity slowly turns into obsession. They begin wondering what you are doing, where you are, and whether you ever think about them anymore. Even if they pretend not to care, something inside them keeps pulling their attention back toward you. Old conversations replay in their mind. Small details they once ignored suddenly feel significant. They analyze moments they dismissed in the past, trying to identify the exact point where everything changed. Pride prevents them from reaching out, but silence doesn't erase the questions. Late at night, when distractions fade, those questions grow louder. They wonder if you moved on, if you found peace, if life feels easier without them. And the truth they fear the most slowly becomes clear. You did move on. What they once believed was a game of emotional power turned into something else entirely. They thought distance would make you chase them. They assumed that withholding attention would create desperation. Instead, their behavior gave you something unexpected: clarity. Space allowed you to see the situation without pressure, without confusion, and without emotional manipulation clouding your judgment. In that quiet space, a powerful realization emerged. Your value was never connected to their validation. Your worth didn't depend on their approval. The peace you were searching for didn't require their presence. That realization changes everything. Once a person truly understands their own value, the dynamic shifts permanently. And when that shift happens, People who once underestimated you begin to see you differently. They start to reconsider the way they treated you. Moments where they dismissed your feelings or crossed your boundaries return to their memory with uncomfortable clarity. Situations where they chose pride over honesty or control over respect suddenly look different when viewed from the perspective of loss. The person they once took for granted now appears in a new light. Stronger, more resilient, more self-aware than they ever realized. But by the time they begin seeing this clearly, the opportunity to correct their mistakes has already passed. There is something deeply ironic about situations like this. The same person who once assumed you would never leave is now the one left behind with unanswered questions. They may want to convince themselves that your departure was cruel or unfair, but deep down, they recognize the truth. They know that your silence didn't appear suddenly. It was built slowly through every ignored boundary, every dismissed concern, every moment where respect should have replaced ego. When someone repeatedly pushes another person to their limit, eventually that person stops explaining and simply walks away. And that is the part they never expected. They believed this distance would be temporary. They assumed time would soften everything and eventually pull you back into the same dynamic. But the person who walked away is no longer the same person who once stayed. Growth changes perspective. Experience. The version of you that once tolerated confusion and imbalance no longer exists in the same way. What remains now is someone who understands their own value and refuses to trade peace for familiarity. Mend. If they ever gather the courage to reach out again, they may discover something surprising. The person they remember is no longer there. The old version of you, the one who stayed, waited, and hoped things would change, has already faded into the past. In its place stands someone quieter, stronger, and far more certain about what they deserve. And sometimes the most powerful transformation isn't loud or dramatic. Sometimes it's simply the moment when a person decides they will never return to the place where they once felt small. Lend. You are no longer the person who quietly tolerated behavior that drained your energy. The version of you that once tried endlessly to prove your worth, hoping someone would finally recognize it, no longer exists. There was a time when you stretched yourself thin, trying to be understood, trying to be appreciated, trying to keep something alive that was slowly suffocating you. But something changed inside you. At some point, the effort stopped feeling noble and started feeling unnecessary. You began to realize that your value was never something that needed approval from anyone else. Now you stand in a completely different place. Someone who understands their worth, someone who guards their peace carefully, someone who refuses to shrink themselves just to remain acceptable to others. And the life you are building now simply has no room for the same chaos that once surrounded you. Bellions. If you look deeper into what they are experiencing now, it becomes clear that their mind is struggling to make sense of your absence. Psychologists often describe this inner conflict as cognitive dissonance, a state where two opposing beliefs fight for dominance inside a person's mind. Part of them wants to believe that you are miserable without them. They imagine you feeling lonely, regretful, perhaps even desperate to reconnect. That belief protects their ego and allows them to maintain the illusion that they were the most important figure in your world. But another part of their mind keeps whispering a different story, a much harder truth. That quieter voice reminds them that you seem to be doing just fine, maybe even better than before. And those two realities cannot comfortably exist together. One of them must eventually collapse. Monda. As time continues to pass and your silence remains unchanged, the truth becomes harder for them to ignore. Each day that goes by without a message from you, without a sign that you are waiting for them, slowly chips away at the illusion they once believed. The longer you continue living your life peacefully, the more obvious it becomes that their importance in your story was never as permanent as they once assumed. That realization is not easy for someone to accept, especially when they built their sense of importance on the belief that you would always remain within their reach. Pleened. What makes your absence so powerful is that it is not part of some emotional strategy. It is not a tactic meant to provoke a reaction or to create jealousy. It is simply the natural result of personal growth. The distance came from understanding, not from manipulation. And people can feel the difference between the two. They recognize that this is not the same person who once tried to chase their attention or fight for their approval. Something about you has shifted in a way that cannot easily be reversed. Bans. When someone reaches a point of genuine clarity, there is no simple way to go back. Once you experience the calm that comes from removing yourself from toxic dynamics, it becomes difficult to imagine returning to the same patterns again. Once you recognize your own value, it becomes impossible to pretend that you are worth less than you are. The version of you that once accepted confusion, imbalance, and emotional games slowly faded away the moment you chose peace over familiarity. And from that quiet transformation, a stronger identity emerged, one that belongs fully to itself. Another interesting change begins to unfold in the social world surrounding both of you. When someone who used to be constantly present suddenly disappears, people naturally begin to notice. Questions appear in conversations. Friends and acquaintances start wondering what happened, why things changed, why the dynamic they once observed is no longer the same. Your absence becomes a story that others try to understand, and the person you left behind eventually has to answer those questions in some way. Bond. Explaining that situation honestly would require admitting uncomfortable truths. It would mean acknowledging moments where respect was replaced by ego, where appreciation was replaced by complacency, where opportunities to nurture the connection were ignored. Instead of confronting those realities, many people attempt to soften the story. They minimize what happened or reshape the narrative in ways that make them appear less responsible for the outcome. But maintaining a false version of events requires constant effort. It means repeating the same explanation over and over, while hoping no one notices the contradictions. And over time, however, people tend to observe more than they say. They remember how situations looked from the outside. They recall patterns in behavior. Gradually, the simplified story begins to feel less convincing. Truth has a way of revealing itself slowly, even without confrontation. Bend. While all of that unfolds behind the scenes, your life continues moving forward. Instead of replaying old arguments or wondering how things could have been different, your attention shifts toward building something healthier for yourself. You invest your time in growth, creativity, and personal stability. You no longer spend energy monitoring someone else's life or hoping they feel regret. That chapter has already closed. Maliant. Your focus is no longer directed toward proving anything to anyone. It is directed toward becoming the person you always had the potential to be, once the noise and confusion were removed from your environment. And that quiet evolution, the calm determination to move forward without bitterness or revenge, is often the clearest sign that you truly left the past behind. Bullion. Right now, your attention is no longer trapped in the past. Your focus has shifted inward, toward the parts of yourself that were neglected for far too long. Instead of pouring your energy into fixing someone else's behavior, you are finally investing that energy into your own growth. You are healing slowly, rebuilding yourself piece by piece and discovering parts of your identity that were buried under the weight of that old connection. There were interests you ignored, dreams you postponed, and boundaries you never enforced because you were too busy trying to maintain something that constantly demanded more from you. Now, with distance and clarity, you are learning what truly brings you joy, what you genuinely want from life, and what you refuse to accept ever again. Is quiet but powerful. You are setting standards that once felt impossible, forming connections that actually nourish your spirit, and stepping into opportunities that once seemed out of reach. As you continue evolving, something remarkable begins to happen. Your energy changes. You carry a calm confidence that comes from knowing yourself, and that authenticity draws people and possibilities toward you in ways you never expected. Lenja. Even from a distance, they can sense that transformation. They notice the difference in how you move through the world now. There is a lightness around you that wasn't there before, a strength that doesn't require anyone's approval. And watching that change is deeply uncomfortable for them because it forces them to confront a truth they tried to ignore. You didn't collapse without them. In fact, you flourished. They once believed that your presence in their life was permanent, something they could take for granted without consequence. They assumed there would always be another chance to fix things. Later, another opportunity to make things right whenever it was convenient for them. But time doesn't always offer endless chances. The moment you walked away was the moment that illusion ended. Now they are left with memories that cannot be rewritten, conversations that can't be redone, moments they wish they handled differently, and opportunities they can never reclaim. Slowly, the realization settles in that they allowed something genuine to slip away. Demands. What makes this realization even heavier is the understanding that what you offered was rare. Authentic connection is not easy to find, and deep loyalty cannot simply be replaced by the next person who comes along. They may try to recreate what they had with you by seeking it in others, hoping another relationship will carry the same warmth, the same understanding, the same depth. But genuine connections have a uniqueness that cannot be copied. To be completely honest, your growth intimidated them. Your ability to stand on your own frightened them more than they ever admitted. They were comfortable believing that you depended on them, that you would always stay, no matter what happened. That belief allowed them to feel secure in their role. But the moment you proved that you could walk away and still remain strong, that illusion shattered. Naturally, they may try to replace that feeling elsewhere. They might search for new attention, new connections, new validation. But the void left behind by someone authentic is not easily filled. Other people may enter their life, but the experiences will feel different. The depth will feel different, the familiarity. And slowly, the realization grows stronger that the connection they lost was not something that appears often in a lifetime. Mend ironically, the strongest response you could ever have is not revenge or confrontation. True strength often appears as something much quieter. It is the calm decision to move forward without bitterness. Seeking revenge still ties your emotions to the past. Trying to expose someone keeps you connected to their actions. But genuine indifference, true emotional detachment, breaks that connection completely. Lemger. At this point in your journey, they are no longer the center of your thoughts. They have simply become one chapter in a much larger story. They were a lesson that taught you where your boundaries should be, a period of your life that helped you recognize your own strength. The memories remain, but they no longer control your direction. Bleen, you could reopen the door and return to the same patterns that once caused you pain, or you could remember the path that brought you to this new version of yourself. You could remind yourself of the struggles that forced you to grow, the quiet healing that happened once you stepped away, and the peace you worked so hard to build. Protecting that peace may be the most important decision you ever make. Plans. That is why your time apart has been so important. It taught you lessons that no conversation could have explained. It showed you that you are capable of standing on your own without needing someone else to define your happiness. It reminded you that peace should not feel like a constant battle. Healthy relationships do not leave you questioning your value or competing for basic respect. They support your growth instead of restricting it. Most, this experience helped you understand that your energy is valuable and should never be wasted on environments that drain it. Walking away from something harmful is not weakness. It is a form of self-respect. It is the moment when you choose your well-being over familiarity. And sometimes that single decision to step away and protect your peace becomes the turning point that leads you toward the life you were always meant to build.